So, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and finance enthusiasts, welcome to our fireside chat on finance and the future. Today, we are honored to have with us Mr. Ajay Thomas John, who is the Group Chief Digital Officer at Shriram Capital. So, Ajay is a seasoned professional with extensive experience in driving digital transformation, uh, business operations, and partner management in the finance industry. So he has hands-on experience in effectively creating turnarounds in challenging business models and making them into profitable ventures. So, as far as our conversation is concerned, today we will explore the long-term trends and developments shaping the finance industry. So, thank you for joining us today, Mr. Ajay.
Pleasure's mine, Amit. Thank you so much for hosting me. I look forward to this discussion.
Sure. So, to kick things off, could you provide an overview of the current state of the finance industry and how it has evolved over the last few years, leading us to the brink of the next wave of transformative trends that we are seeing?
Great. So before I start off on the current trends and what is going to be the future about, I'll talk a bit about how financial services has evolved over the years. I started off my career back in 2004. And back then, the entire books which were being lent across were usually unsecured, small ticket size personal loans, small SME loans, right? You were talking about unsecured ticket size of roughly around 20,000 to 30,000 rupees, right? Now, when you look at the market and how things have evolved over the few years, markets have grown 10x, or for that matter, even when you look at salary personal loans, you see an average ticket size of around 6 lakh rupees. You see unsecured business loans, which are validated through GST and things like that, which is going about 6 to 8 lakh rupees. So there are plenty of initiatives which are being taken, which has evolved multifold, and the way things have scaled up with the advent of digitization has only made things smoother and smarter for the entire ecosystem. When I talk about digital transformation, at one point of time through the evolution curve, you see the acquisition model being solved for, right? Leveraging how data could be entered, how customers could be brought onto a simple mobile app or a B2B application form, which is for a branch transformation and things like that. From there, what evolved is that how data could be used and how underwriting models could be created. And over the set of years, we've seen process being evolved where you can also skip physical verification if needed, depending on the comfort of the credit score, how much of tested customers are there as part of your portfolio, how do you look at for the scaling those customers about. What are the kind of customers who can be also managed centrally, right, without even having a branch underwriting model? Yeah. What kind of products could achieve that? In the unsecured space, how do you look at, giving a faster time to cash to customers? With that goal in mind, how can you look at, solving for multiple process points for the customer, starting from, a first call to customer? How do you ensure that, a customer is being serviced of getting a loan as part of the journey, right? We're talking about an account aggregator model where you can also scrape through a bank statement. You can also talk about understanding a customer better through his bureau information, which is available. All this enriched data is also going to give you the right customer, the right amount, the right ticket size, the right price which needs to be given for a particular customer. So the more the credibility, the customer starts to benefit as well. And that's what we've seen over the years. We've gone through, I would say, generations of, standardization. Standardization evolved to personalization, and now we're talking about hyper-personalization. That's the future in terms of transformation. And instead of having macro segments of data being cut, we are going into micro segments of data being cut so that, you could customize it for even an individual or a set of for a group of customers so that, you'll be able to get better measurements or better results out of whatever your portfolio which you would want to learn. So that's the transformation journey. And that's the journey which I've also been personally driving as a mission for Shriram right now on. And this is something which I've experienced in the past with other companies that I've worked for as well.
Very good. Very good. So what we are also seeing that global economic shifts. Okay, so there are many disruptions happening across the globe. Okay, so they can have a profound effect on the finance industry. Okay, so how are organizations, specifically in the finance space, navigating the challenges and opportunities presented by international economic trends or disruptions, and how are they ensuring resilience in the face of global uncertainties?
I think post 2008, our financial services business has been pretty much in very good hands, right? In terms of the way, a lot of credit to how RBI has managed the entire scheme of things, right? In terms of thinking proactively and also figuring out what are the better ways in terms of, building out stringent regulatory affairs as well, so that, people are always there following the best guidelines possible. Even as you look at even in today's day, a year back we had something called as your digital lending guidelines which are applicable, so that things are standardized as well. And at the same point of time, there is also customer centricity at the center of the plate. You're not just talking about business being profitable, and unethical practices being followed or anything of that sort. It's all about building the right business model so that we are able to scale. Second, when I talk about international markets, what kind of impact would we have, right? I mean, we as a market, our biggest advantage is the population that we have in our country, right? And we've got a pretty stable market. We've created enough jobs which are serving for customers within India, right? That was not the case years back. We were dependent on other investments to come in. We were also looking at other markets to go and penetrate into. When we've got products which can cater to the population of the country in itself, that makes it a lot more self-sufficient for ourselves in terms of how we need to be driving our business. The second point is, as long as we are able to provision the rest. Now, what we've also seen recently is that how RBI wants to drive loans for business needs, right? Than focusing on loans for self-consumption, right? And that's a very welcomed initiative, especially for companies like Shriram, who's always been in the financial inclusion space, which was never the case with a lot of the other companies, right? We've always been looking at connecting the last mile of customer in the tier 3 cities. A larger part of our portfolio also belongs to a set of untested customers. How do you look at further scaling those customers up? And how do you look at creating an inclusive framework so that we find out alternate modes of lending, right? I mean, there may or may not be a lot of paperwork. How could you find out the best of portfolio being managed by understanding these customers better? And that's the work which we walk through always. Yeah. And that helps us scale and build a sustainable model for ourselves. So things have changed a lot in the last decade or so. And it seems to be, we would be looking at furthermore deepening what our initiatives would be in that particular space. Let it be expansion of branches, it could be expansion of our portfolio and segments that we would want to operate in. Launching of new products which could be relevant to a certain segment of businesses, and then we would be scaling. So a risk is about how would you want to manage the stream of income. And I think that if you are provisioning it right, I think it should be very much in control.
Very good. Certainly. So, if you see the financial space, okay. So, how are organizations leveraging digital technologies to basically enhance the customer experience, optimize their operations, stay competitive in the dynamic financial landscape?
So, see, if there is a base metric, if you really want to enhance digital standardization, one, how do you get your OpEx to NIM down, right? How do you look at increasing your customers' costs of operations, or how would you want to build your fulfillment? Now, I think a simple example which we tried at Shriram as well, right? It was a typical case of any loan application form. Yeah. The cost of printing an application form is roughly up to the cost of around 22 odd rupees, right? And if you're going into a high velocity product, you've got a huge opportunity of cost which can be saved if you're going digital, right? And today, with the advent of digital India and things like that, right? I mean, customers at the last mile are also having mobile phones, right? People are used to using mobile phones. That becomes their primary channel of communication. India as a country skipped the generation of desktops is what I would say. If you look at our desktop or our laptop penetration compared to what it is our mobile phone penetration, it's much more, right? Back in the day, There used to be a statement where Bill Gates saying that, we would want to have a desktop at every home, right? Which wouldn't have been practically possible in a country like India with so much of dynamics, right? But that's not the case with mobile phones and the technology which has been able to. You got a pocket phone of rupees 4,000 rupees onwards, which is available for every consumer. And if imagine all the customers are having the power of accessing financial services and banking through the mobile phone at a click of a thumb, what more would you want, right? And that's also a way of understanding these customers better. What kind of transactions, what kind of models can you build on each of these customers? Save a lot of operating expenses, build alternate data for underwriting, ensure that customers are also at the same point of time being helpful in terms of what kind of numbers need to be needed for them, analyze proper demand and supply, managing invoices, or for that matter, even in terms of giving them ecosystem products. That's the way we see things have evolved over the last few years, and that's the way it's going to be in the future as
well. Very good, very good. So we are seeing that AI and machine learning are becoming increasingly prevalent in the financial services as well. Okay, so how are you seeing organizations harnessing the power of these technologies to improve their predictive analytics and risk management skills and overall decision-making processes?
So I'll put it this way, right? It's not just predictive analysis. It's predictive, preventive, descriptive, right? And you're talking about what kind of analytics model do you really need to be running, right? Now, each of it has a different use case related to the different definition of the supply chain, which you would want to work on. Some people work on sourcing, some people work on underwriting, some people work on operational, some people work on risk and collections, right? Depending on each of it, models are built to understand what kind of opportunities are available for each of the consumers and what kind of ways can you ideally predict or prevent an issue from happening so that, one, you're saving the cost for operations for that particular incident to happen, or you're saving losses, or you're looking at increasing opportunities for revenue. So that, you are able to identify what kind of customers, what kind of models really work in understanding a consumer to scale multiple products at multiple scale. Right? So that really works from a consumer perspective. And that is something which we are continuously learning, right? I mean, no model is trained on day one, right? You look at having data at ground zero, and then you look at further scaling up at every level, and then you would be looking at scaling up further from there, right? There's continuous relearning which happens on a model, and models are trained so that, our success rates are much higher. And that's an evolution journey which we would always see. And now you also walked into the path of, generative AI, right? There are so many use cases that can be solved for financial services as such. From a risk standpoint or an underwriting standpoint, right? Opportunities are plenty so that, we would be able to scale it up.
Exactly. Now let's talk about another technology, that is blockchain. So blockchain, we are seeing that experts are saying that it would have a transformative potential in finance industry. Okay, so can you share some insights into how financial organizations are exploring the application of blockchain, particularly in the areas of secure transactions and the impact it might have on transparency and efficiency?
So, see, blockchain as a technology is used basically to validate information so that you don't have to at any point of time, look at validating or revalidating through somebody else, right? It's about creating an infrastructure layer in itself so that, there is always a chain or a block which is available within a chain so that you can go and validate it from any particular source of data than going to you personally investing upon going and personally validating it, right? So that's the biggest advantage when you look at from a blockchain standpoint. Now, when I look at defining use cases for financial services, I'll take it to lending as such, right? Lending, there is minimal use case in terms of at this point of time from a blockchain standpoint. For example, we use some deposits where we had our deposit certificates available as well at a blockchain, right? A lot of it could be in terms of, letter of credit or trade finance where there are plenty of use cases from a banking standpoint. A little bit from an NBFC standpoint, right? So, I mean, it's still something which has to be washed out for. It is going to evolve. Amongst AI, ML or generative AI, I feel that, blockchain still has a long way to go in terms of what we need to be defining in terms of use cases which has to be solved for.
Okay. So, we are seeing that organizations are very much focused. In fact, they see consumer behavior, the evolving consumer behavior, and the customer experience as the most critical means critical thing to focus on. So, how are they actually innovating to meet the changing customer expectations, particularly in the context of digitalization and the demand for more personalized kind of financial services that these netizens are actually demanding?
So I mean, the starting point to this entire customer obsession is about having a higher net promoter score, NPS, right? Now, what we also try to do at every point of time is capturing the voice of the customer to figure out where exactly is our problem statement that we need to solve for. What is the customer really expecting us to do, right? And the moment we've got an organized framework for solving for every bit of the process, we then build scalable methodology so that, we'll be able to use and solve for a particular problem at a product level. I will give you a simple example. Any first example of an interaction touch point, right? Let's say for example, a customer walks into a branch. How would you rate this customer's experience? It starts from there and what could be further improved upon, right? Similar is the experience of taking a loan or an insurance product or a claim settlement or a servicing on an underwriting experience as well. The moment you document this, you then walk granularly from a product perspective to a process perspective to a chunk of a process. And then you'll be able to solve for every bit of it. And that's why we look at investing furthermore. And digitization helps us in documenting each of this and also looking at quantifying it to define what are priorities of problems which we need to be solving for. And second, what we also do is we benchmark a lot of industries which are non-financial services. For example, commerce, right? Or let's say, for example, pay tech, right? And then we look at identifying opportunities, what we could learn from them. Or it could be even, streaming like Netflix or Hotstar to understand what are the best practices which they are trying to follow and replicate that from a financial services adaptation standpoint. And then we would be able to scale it up.
Very good. Very good. So now can you also please talk about your top priorities and top focus areas over the next 2 to 4 years from now?
So scaling up our B2C assets, which is our website, our super app, which we just launched recently, how well could we look at, transforming them into, a business number? Second, how do you look at ensuring all the branches? Within the group, we've got 1 lakh employees who are there to be transformed. Right? And how do we make them future ready? What kind of skills do we need to be looking at bringing into the ecosystem? What do we look at delivering it further? Are some things which we need to be looking at building into groups?
Yeah. Okay. So very, very crisp priorities you've got. So looking ahead, means what is your means how do you envision the most important trends shaping the future of the financial sector, and how are organizations positioning themselves to adapt and thrive in the ever-evolving landscape of finance?
So for us, we've created an ecosystem within Shriram where we are always open to collaborate with fintech companies, right? And we collaborate so much with startups. So within such kind of 2.5 years, we've interacted more than 250 fintech companies. To understand what kind of problems are they solving for specifically and how could we collaborate with them to use their solutions better. And we shortlist them and try to use it better. That also gives us a better understanding in what happens in the market. Second is rising customer demands. What are the things which we need to be solving for, understand them better so that we'll be able to scale it up as well. Third is from our employees. To make our employees' life better, what are the technologies which we need to be looking at? What are the problem statements which we need to be looking at? It could be RPA, it could be AI, it could be ML, it could be capabilities which are off the stack, understanding data models and secure systems that we would be able to do. So that's our direction.
Very good. Very good. So thanks a lot, Mr. Ajay, for sharing your valuable insights into the future of finance and your approach to digital transformation inside your organization as well. So thank you all for joining us today. We look forward to a more enlightening conversation in our Fireside Chat series coming up. So have a great
Thank you so much, and pleasure interacting with you.
Yeah.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.